Let me pretend for 5 seconds that I know how to work technology when we all know better. And is it just my imagination, or am I making a video during Mercury retrograde? My phone has barely worked today, and neither has my brain for the last 24 hours. I did advertise this on Facebook today, so hopefully people had an advance warning to join me here. I'm going to try to go slow, which is always hard for me. I get amped up and I start channeling and I get a little bit out of control. I will try to pay attention to your comments. You know that they come and go. So there has been an energy on the planet for quite some weeks that has been alarming. Hello, James. I see you. And I know that you woke up around the same time I did today. So congratulations, and sorry about your luck, I suppose. I do get up early. 5 o'clock is still a little bit early for even me. So let me give you a chance, give people a chance to show up here. And let's see what happens. Today, at 5 a.m., when I woke up, I was quite astounded by what I was seeing and the things that started coming through. And then many of you started reaching out to me with things that were also coming through to you. Oh, holy crap. I forgot water. Hold on 1 second, please. I'm sorry. To those really observant people that know this is not my normal location, this is not my normal location. You would be correct. I'm currently at my sister's house, who has about 12,000 cats. So if you start hearing a lot of cat action going on, that would be the reason why I'm at my sister's house. And she has 12,000 cats. I'm exaggerating, but not by far. So if you happen to see my last video called The Con, you may or may not have noticed, because it only stays up there momentarily, that the picture I chose for last week's video was the back of the spine connected to our energy centers of the body. That picture was of Kundalini awakening, so I should have seen this coming, because my artwork is normally foreshadowing. Now, the only reason I use artwork to begin with is because when I come on here, since I'm making this with a phone, the option is to take a picture of your face with the phone, and it usually just shows like your eyes and your nose, and that's about all you get. So the picture always ends up being extremely weird, right? So I always start out with some kind of picture. When I chose the picture for the last video that I made about 9 days ago, I did not intentionally, or was not aware of why I was choosing that Kundalini awakening picture. But today, let me tell you that I am more than aware of why I chose what I did, because I suppose I was feeling in the energy of that even a week ago. So that was my foreshadowing in the video called The Con. Hello, Renee. How are you? So the last video called The Con had the picture of the Kundalini awakening, which the energy had already started coming through. Now, anybody that knows anything about a Kundalini awakening, that is something that we energetically come into a lifetime and work on many, many times before we have a full blown Kundalini awakening. That would be a little bit too much for us to handle. Now, there are people that do experience a sudden Kundalini awakening, and that can cause a lot of issues if it's not a slow, gradual thing. But it seems to be that we have signed up for a full blown Kundalini awakening in this lifetime. And the cat games begin. So, what was energetically standing between us and our soul match, our vibrational frequency match at a soul level in relationships? This is indubitably and unequivocally the largest download of information I have ever had. It has been going on since 5 a.m., and I think James and Rachel and a few others of you may have started getting this information this morning as well. So I'm going to try to not do what I normally do and talk super fast and then start channeling in things. And then I go faster and faster to the point where I have hard time keeping up with myself. And I know I lose many of you in that process as well. Okay. So now we're going to delve into what is the biggest download I have ever had in my entire life. The reason why I'm at my sister's house with 12,000 cats right now is because I could feel something very important was going to come through, and I've been feeling it for the last week. And then I had the absolute need to go somewhere that was completely and totally out of the city and in complete silence. I started packing my bag. I wasn't even sure where I was going when my sister reached out to me and said that she was going to go visit her daughter and her son-in-law in North Carolina, and they were leaving the next morning at 6 a.m. And I said, I would be happy to watch your 12,000 cats. I've already started packing my bag. I just didn't know where I was going. I needed absolute silence, and I was completely and totally aware that I needed absolute silence to pull in this current download of information. So here we go. The biggest download of information I've ever received. And in talking to some of you today, you are also pulling in the same download. Many of you saw it or heard things in a different visual way, or even a different audio way. But as you know, I always like to look at what is the core essence of what we are receiving. And that, of course, was the same with everyone that shared with me today. And even the person, Kathy, that reached out for a tarot reading today was also experiencing this as well. So knowing that I came here to get out of the city for absolute silence, to integrate the capacity of what I was receiving in this download, I was woken up at 5 o'clock this morning. And what I saw at 5 o'clock this morning is only what I can describe to you as an extreme pulsing within the core center of Earth. And it looked like a lighthouse, or how a lighthouse beacon shines its light out into the water to lead those to safety. This core of Earth was breathing, pulsing in and out, back and forth, up and down, with an absolute gyration of light that I will try my best to explain. So that's what I woke up to visually. At the same time, immediately upon wakening, the words I heard were, "The signals are scrambled." And that came with, again, the vision of the core of Earth beaming with light, flickering with light, and sending a pulse through the Earth's grid system and into our meridians, or the system of our body, our ley lines of the body, flickering and sending a pulse that is causing a Kundalini awakening. Now, many of us have started the Kundalini awakening process, maybe a decade ago, maybe longer for some of you. Maybe it's more recent for some of you. So I'm not saying that you were turned off and now you're about to be turned on. What I am saying is the intensity is picking up to the point where it has become an absolute visual to me. So this flickering, this sending a pulse that causes the Kundalini awakening, this wave, this light is magnetized, or I was shown this morning that this light wave, this frequency wave, is being magnetized to the spinal column and sending a signal to the brain. The signal that our spine is sending to the brain is the awakening. Now, I only know about this from movies, but if anyone is aware of the drug ecstasy, ecstasy takes spinal fluid and sends it to the brain, causing a short-term or temporary awakening where all you want to do is things that feel good. People do ecstasy so they can shut off the mind and shut off the chitter chatter of the reptilian brain, whether they know it or not. The reason ecstasy had become so popular many years back is because it takes the spinal fluid and sending it to the brain, meaning that we are overriding our sense of pleasure, or letting or inviting or not stopping with the brain, our spinal column, to be in alignment with true north. So if the entire planet was to do a shot of ecstasy or a pill, however that works, not sure. If we were all to do that, it would send the spinal fluid to the brain, and we wouldn't do anything in our lives, make any plans, have any contracts, fulfill any kind of obligatory things that did not feel good. The point of sending the spinal fluid to the brain is to override the brain and only do what feels good to the body and feels good to the soul. So ecstasy is a small slice or a small portion or a small speck of existence of what would actually happen in a full-blown Kundalini awakening. That is, once your Kundalini is awake, you will not choose to be involved in things that don't feel like joy and don't feel like bliss and don't add joy to your life. So, Earth with ecstasy trying to mimic what it would actually be like to follow our bliss. And that is the reason that I'm sure that drug became so popular. Again, with it, we override the brain and the logic and only do what our soul wants or what feels good to us. We are then disconnected from the function of everyday 3D reality that does not serve us in a higher capacity. And I'm not here to talk to you about ecstasy. I had no idea that was actually even going to come up. So let me go to where I am next. And please keep in mind, I will do the best that I can. But again, this was the biggest download of information I've ever received in my entire life. And I'm really going to try to take it slow and try to make sense of it for you. if this information had come through when I thought it would have come through, with the unplugging of the matrix information that lasted, I think, 3 and trickled down or bled through into maybe 4 videos after that, it would have made logical sense to me that it would all showed up together. But that information was also a very big download, and I'm sure higher self was trying to make sure that I could have some semblance of function in my 3D reality. And so this information has been split into several revelations or several awakenings. The next thing I saw, and I had been seeing this for a couple of days, is that there was a ginormous coronal hole in the bottom portion of the sun. I stopped checking space weather about 2 years ago, as you guys know, but 2 or 3 days into seeing this, my friend Mary had sent me an image from someone with the coronal hole, saying it was 20 times the size of Earth. Yes, I couldn't agree with you more, James. Thank you for that. And the comments are gone again. I try not to focus. It's hard for me to not get lost in this. And like I said, this is the biggest download of information I've ever had by far. It started at 5 a.m. and didn't stop until about an hour ago, when I decided in order to get on here and make a video, I was going to have to eat today and put on clothes. So I have to temporarily pause this moment of ecstasy and do some 3D things in order for me to share this with you. So what I saw next was the giant coronal hole, which I've been seeing for the past 4 or 5 days. And like I said, Mary sent me a picture, and the caption was, the coronal hole was 20 times the size of planet Earth. And so this morning when I woke up with a message that the signals are scrambled, and I saw that the core of Earth was pulsing and breathing and sending this light wave frequency that was shot to the spinal column, sending the awakening signal to the brain, I asked, what's with the giant hole and the coronal hole that's 20 times the size of Earth right now? And what without pause came through is, our body is mimicking the core of Earth, and the core of Earth simultaneously is also mimicking the physical body on the planet. Now, so if you think about a mirror of energy and a mirror exchange of information and energy and downloads, what we are seeing with a hole that's 20 times the size of planet is, the hole is the empty space. So the sun within us, right, the solar plexus, what is missing within us? And you're probably aware, but to reiterate the importance of this, the solar plexus is the area that corresponds directly to our attitude about our self-confidence, our self-worth. It is the part of us that reflects the sun. The sun in tarot talks about illumination, returning to bliss, knowing what it's like to be a child and be happy and understand how easy and how important it is to have these beautiful, open, collaborative relationships with other humans on this planet. So the coronal hole is mimicking the human body and saying, what is missing in your self-confidence? What is missing in your joy? What is missing in your childhood radiance? What is missing in your life that is the fulfillment of joy? What is the hole in the center of you that asks you to be filled? And this goes to soul alignment and course correction, which I'm not going to go back into because the amount of videos corresponding to course correction are overwhelming at this point in my life. The hole in the sun, the coronal hole in the sun. What is the sun telling you? What is the sun asking you? Okay. The sun is showing us or asking us what is missing within our solar plexus. What is the hole? What is the empty space asking us to look at? What brings you joy? Are you following that joy? The sun's hole is mimicking the hole or the missing piece in our confidence that allows the illumination of what is missing in our life. Are you following that joy? Are you following that bliss? Are you following that solar illumination? Are you following that energy shot up the bottom of the spine and to the brain? This is what every single planetary body is showing us right now. They all do it in different forms with different energies. But are you following that joy and that bliss? Or are you allowing your external reality to dictate your forward movement into 3D situations? Now, because we know we are multidimensional already, it's not just about what's missing in the higher dimensions, or how can I become more multidimensional, or how can I follow the path of energetics without resistance to what is of my highest calling. It's specifically asking you, what is the spark of inspiration that's missing, right? When you have a spark of inspiration, when you follow that joy, when you follow that childhood bliss, you are automatically connected to course correction. You are automatically connected to the souls that is the highest version of yourself and the highest version of the relationship template. So the sun is showing you a hole and asking you, what is missing from your joy? What is missing from your creativity? What is being illuminated to you that you are missing in your life? Now, because we are multidimensional and we've been experiencing these things for a long time, this is not the sun or anything external from you asking, how can I just be more multidimensional? This is taking that multidimensional energy or that solar energy that's coming from the sun. The sun is nothing but a TV screen that is showing you and energetically feeding you the direction of this planet, the direction of the sun itself, and the direction in your 3D life. So as we are already multidimensional, this is not about an excursion or an expansion into your multidimensionality, but rather your multidimensionality, or the sun or your solar plexus, asking you to pay attention to what is it that brings bliss and joy and fulfillment and illumination that I am not currently anchoring into my 3D physical reality. So that's a lot. Again, the soul is being mirrored through the sun to invite you to expand the awareness of what brings you joy, but to anchor that awareness into your body so that you will take movement. The core of the earth is moving, it's expanding, it's asking you to look at what you are missing. I agree with you, kitty cat. So, on top of the sun asking us to look at where is the missing piece of joy, right? Again, you may know what your missing piece of joy is. You may know what that missing person, place, or thing is in your life, but are you ready and open and willing to invite it in to become part of your physical reality? Whoever that person, place, or thing is, are you open to inviting that into not your expanded consciousness because it's already there? The sun is asking you, will you shine the light on what is missing? And will you anchor that and allow that to steer you into the people, places, and things that bring the bliss into every cell of the human body? I'm slightly allergic to cats. This could potentially be a problem if we're trying to keep my hands off my face during this video. Okay. Apart from that, the next part of the message and the bigger part of the message is this. Many of you, most of you probably know this. If you've never seen Ancient Aliens, Space Station Moon, I recommend watching it a minimum of 20 times, or maybe if you're a little smarter than me, you can just watch it a couple times. But I think it really took that long for it to sink in for me. There is some very surface information that does not include the information that I'm about to tell you about, but that show will explain to you and show you unequivocally, without a doubt, what the moon really is and why it has been brought in here. The question is, do the beings that brought it in know that it's going to exit soon? So the next part of what came through was this. If you know that the moon directly rotates only around the very center or equator of planet Earth, well, that seems kind of obvious, right? Like, if you're a private detective, where do you set up camp? You set up camp right outside the person in question's place of work, their family, their friends, their house, right? So one of the intentions, and through Ancient Aliens and many other people will tell you, that the moon is there simply as a spy satellite for planet Earth. Now, many of you may have thought that that was an amazing revelation. I know I did when I heard it, and I saw the trajectory, and I saw where it was, and what the movement was, and the size and the shape and all of that. Again, you can, for that information, refer back to Ancient Aliens, Space Station Moon. I thought that was pretty revelatory for me at the time. However, today what came through takes that so much further from the compass of what I knew. So in that episode, Space Station Moon, they will tell you all the particulars, and I highly recommend, as I said, watching it. It rotates right directly around the center of planet Earth because that's the best place to spy. And after being there for millions of years, information started to leak that it was a spy satellite. But it is actually way more than that. And that was simply a sidebar. It was, and this will come up more than once, killing two birds with one stone. The moon is not just a spy satellite. The purpose is to hold the planet from true north. The moon holds the planet at an angle, right? The access point that we are held at keeps us from having a Kundalini awakening. So when your spine is out of alignment, right, the correct signal, the correct message does not get to the brain. When our earth is on a tilt, on an axis, we are not connected with true north, geographically, spiritually, emotionally, etherically. We are not connected to true north. in any way. Now, there are many of us who figured out how to connect and get past the barrier, just like we figured out how to connect and get past the barrier of the matrix. The moon is not just a spy satellite. The main point of the moon was to hold the Earth at an axis tilt that kept us from experiencing a full-blown awakening. And when I speak about Kundalini, yes, that is tied to the sex organs and pleasure and everything else, but it's a full-on awakening process. It's not just in correlation to a sexual response. Okay, so the moon being in place, according to scientists, is part of the natural progression of life on planet Earth. And without it, we wouldn't have the tides, we wouldn't have the seasons, we wouldn't have all the things that they feel are necessary in a scientific way to sustain life on this planet. But if any of you have noticed these giant rock sculptures or these giant mountains that they are saying are mountains or rock formations or whatever, they are not. And this is proof that the moon has not always been here, but was drug in here on purpose to keep the human body and the planet from experiencing true north, which is the Kundalini awakening. The access point, the angle at which we are currently being held, is controlling the Kundalini awakening within humanity. The Earth axis keeps the planet in place. Our body's spinal column is energetically represented by the axis. So when I'm talking solar plexus and saying, look at the hole in the sun, now look at your solar plexus, what's missing from your happiness, what have you illuminated but not brought into fruition or course corrected? The axis of Earth, the tilt of Earth, the etherical axis line which holds the planet at a tilt, is represented on the human body or within the human body as your spinal column. Our body's spinal column keeps our bodies in balance with our own meridian system and the connection that flows between our feet and our head. Our body's center or solar plexus is the exact middle or exact equator of our human body. Our body's spinal column keeps our body in balance. Our body in balance is connection with our own personal true north. So if your spinal cord is mimicking the etheric axis point, the axis of Earth, which is off kilter, that keeps Earth from experiencing the organic life as it should be on planet Earth. Within the human body, it keeps us out of whack or out of balance in connection with our own personal true north. Our spinal connection, our spinal column connection, is the connection to the brain. What should I do? Where is my happiness? Where is my illumination? Coming from the solar plexus, on the back side of that is your spinal column. So everything that is going on right now is sending a shot of spinal column fluid. That's why I compared it to ecstasy. It is sending information from the base of your spine, the awakening, up to your brain. Now, I will say there are millions of people who are obviously not aware of this. And even if you are aware of this last couple of weeks that this has been happening has not been easy for anyone. The amount of miscommunication and the amount of times I have been misunderstood by people who even normally understand me is astounding. So if you're wondering what the cognition problem is, it's the fact that the spine is receiving this download or this spinal column upgrade that's sending the signal to the brain, and it is confusing people. Okay, so the moon is intentionally there because it holds not only the body's spinal column from being in alignment with Kundalini and the course correction from your true happiness being received by the brain so that you therefore make a plan and take action, it is also keeping the planet itself from experiencing true north as a whole. So back to those things that scientists and geologists tell us are giant rock formations, they are actually petrified trees. Now, if you look at some of these grand monuments that they're calling rocks, right? Why would they not want you to know that that was simply a petrified tree, right? Why would that be something that would send your mind so far out into oblivion that you might start ditching everything in your life that didn't serve you, right? So those rock monuments, according to scientists, are actually petrified trees. And the reason they don't want you to know that, because if the moon was not in orbit around the center of our planet, the axis would be in alignment with true north. Humanity would have a full-blown awakening. Okay, so all of those giant trees that look like stone monuments or whatever else science is or geology is telling you that they came from a time when there was no moon in orbit. So think about your garden. If you live in an area like me where 3 or 4 months out of the year is your height of gardening and you're busting your butt to plant as much and produce as much food and get as much done in a short amount of time as you can. Before the moon was drug into orbit, things just grew, right? So what I received today is without the moon, the planet would be somewhere around like in the ballpark of 50 to 80 degrees year round in every single spot on the planet. Meaning what would happen? Well, everything would be bigger. You've heard about these giants, giant people from the past. How is that possible? That's possible when the earth is in alignment with true north and we are in alignment with our true Kundalini or our true awakening, everything becomes bigger. So those rock monuments that are really petrified trees come from the time in our existence on planet Earth before the moon was drug in here to slow down or stop the growth. And if you think about the 4 seasons that the majority of this planet goes, we have a growth season and a death season and a rebirth season and a dormant season. But without the axis tilt of Earth would just be in this beautiful growth season all the time. You can imagine how the people would be larger, that fruit would be larger, that trees would be ginormous as well. So I know that it seems outlandish, but I don't know of anything that has come out my mouth in the last year, honestly, that has not seemed, sounded, or felt outlandish. So yes, the whole planet would be temperate. Everything would have amazing growth spurts. And if you think about it, it all always boils down to control and manipulation, whether it's the human body, the grid system, the spine technology, or what it is. Would we need to garden? No, because we could garden and go outside and take care of it here and there, and we would produce food for ourselves all the time. In fact, there would probably be very little need for farming at all. So you can see it's another a tactic of manipulation and control that has something to do with the financial agenda as well. So much download. Okay, so I said before, I was asking myself this morning, why didn't this come through with the other information? Now, if we are looking at an unplugged matrix, and we know we are, the amount of people that are unaware of it but told me something catastrophically different happened in their personal reality and everyone's reality that they know, maybe you're still not connecting it to that unplug of the matrix, right? So the matrix, as the electric fence, was holding everything in place that was manipulation and control. What am I going to do? Right? So the reason the sun would be showing us the whole within itself, the whole within its center, is so we can again look at the whole within ourselves and within our center and decide to move into the energy of making a plan and taking action to course correct, not for any other reason than the sake of joy and bliss. Okay? Now, in the spiritual community for a really long time, I believe that everyone is familiar with the fact that, oh, Saturn is this negative planet with this control and manipulation, and it's all about, a negative agenda. So the negative agenda is coming from Saturn, which is a negative planet. It goes on and on and on. Part of the revelation, though, this morning was that, yes, Saturn was tied up in this matrix control system with Earth, okay? But we have been taught that Saturn is a negative influence on our planet. But part of the download this morning was that Saturn is not to be blamed. Saturn is not the guilty party or the negative influence, but rather was also being controlled by the matrix. Now, why the need to control Saturn? If you're looking for a place to run a matrix from one planet to another, you would think that that matrix may be run by something a little closer. Why pick the planet that's the absolute far reaches of the planets in our solar system to run the manipulative electric fence from? Well, two birds with one stone. In Earth's organic connection to Saturn, it regulates our relationships, period, and how we choose our relationship, how we act in our relationships, how we communicate in our relationships, how we correspond to other people in relationships, and do we go after healthy connections? Okay? So the electric fence on Earth, the matrix of control, the programming, the dark message, the scary movie, the scary music in the movie before the murder scene, that was only half of the puzzle. Again, why choose planet that is the absolute furthest from planet Earth to run the matrix? Again, two birds, one stone. This is so important. Earth, in its organic connection to Saturn, regulates our relationships, how we choose our relationships, and whether or not we go after healthy relationships. So you can see this adds a very large piece to the puzzle of just trying to control and manipulate humanity with a dark frequency or a scary movie frequency, right? It also simultaneously stopped us from our organic connection to a planet that regulates how we choose partnership on planet Earth. There's a direct soul tie between planet Earth and Saturn. Saturn is holding within its rings a part of the Akashic record that is directly connected to the information that is the rewrite. So Saturn, in its organic connection to Earth, is directly connected to the template for new relationships and the relationship rewrite on planet Earth. 2 birds, 1 stone. Do we go after healthy connections? So personally, there's something that's been coming through for 4 days, and I'm like, this is pretty out there. This is pretty unbelievable. I'm not going to share that information with you. But there's someone showing up in my life with a message about relationship. Okay. And I'm like, well, that doesn't even in a 3D reality sense have any correspondence to the current state of physical reality between this person and myself. But I was seeing this person show up 4 days before the information came through. So when the information came through that the natural connection between Saturn and Earth regulates our soul connections, how we choose partners, again, illuminating what is missing, all of these bodies are working together to show you something. The sun is asking you to take a look at in the center of your life, where is the illumination on what's missing? Will you anchor in the illumination when you have the light bulb go out and say, the missing part of my relationship, or the missing piece of my life, or the missing piece of the dynamic I've always wanted to choose for myself? Will you choose it? Now, how fitting could it be that we have a coronal hole 20 times the size of planet Earth, only a mere weeks after the matrix was unplugged, realigning us to our organic connection between Saturn and Earth and how we choose true soul connection over 3D fiddle faddle. Okay, I don't know what else to say. So, Saturn is not the guilty party, but was also tied up in the controlling system, right? Not the negative influence, but herself being controlled by the matrix. 2 birds, 1 stone. They chose to run the matrix from the planet furthest from Earth because they knew about the connection in the organic relationship between Saturn and Earth, and between our soul and course correction and what it is our heart really wants. Now, I couldn't figure out why I kept seeing this person and hearing this person reach out to me and giving me this certain story. I'm like, that seems really unbelievable coming from a person who doesn't currently speak to me. But again, 4 days later, it came through as we are all moving around energetically on this space, unconsciously or unknowingly, moving by the shifting energy. So if Earth and Saturn go back to their organic natural relationship of choosing course correction and choosing beautiful illuminated soul connections, that would explain why someone would show back up in your life and have some words to say, or have some truth to speak, or have a shot of ecstasy or spinal information or spinal energy sending a message to the brain. It's time. Saturn itself is an energy that is about the development of relationships in our life. So what I got before I got on the internet this morning was that Saturn is about growth. It's about it's time now to go after true joy and true happiness, which is the reason this person showed up with this message. And it's the reason that people will show up with messages for you, or you will show up with messages for other people. We are mimicking the awareness and the energy and the expansion of what's going on within the planetary bodies. So you may have just already started reaching out to people and noticed that the decision-making process is easier because the matrix is unplugged. This is very, very important for us to allow and invite ourselves to connect with what it is that illuminates and shines happiness into the 3D physical life. Because a lot of times for people, when they experience a kind of a mind-blowing, or maybe it even seems invasive initially, experience with another human being, it's easier to cut that connection off, or in a physical way, energetically, it does not get cut off. In fact, if you've experienced this, and no matter which end you've been on it, whether you're the person that's cut a person off or been the person that has been cut off from the other person that thought leaving something behind or changing status in the third dimension was going to stop the energy flowing between two souls. Well, Saturn is in its natural organic flow with the Earth, meaning we are back in our natural and organic flow in soul connections. Yes, exactly. So something that was missing, thank you, James, for listening and being part of my brain. Something that was missing within us at a core level is being shown to us at a core level. And it's coming up from the opposite side, or the Stargate side of our solar plexus, which is our spinal column. So Saturn itself, having the energy, or the energy of Saturn being about the development of soul relationships in our lives, means that Saturn is about growth, but it also correlates to the construct of time itself. So the sun, Saturn, Earth, and even in the moon in its own spying NSA kind of way, is asking you, where is your joy? Is it time for growth? The matrix unplugged, the return of the organic connection between Saturn and Earth, is saying, Tina, is it time for growth? Is it time for a soul connection that serves the highest purpose of growth and dissolves the matrix of time? Now, while I was on the phone with Rachel, because she was messaging me about Saturn and multiple moons and the same energetic connection that I was feeling, but her information was on a different side of it. I'm sure Rachel's is going to make a video about that. Comment here if that's the case, Rachel, but I'm sure it is, as you always do. So I looked up, where does Saturn come from? And supposedly it comes from Greece, but who knows? It's probably the information about Saturn and the connection to Earth and the origin of its word and the meaning and all of that is probably millions of years old. I doubt it came from Greece. Greece seems to get credit for a whole host of things that did not originate in Greece. However, when I looked up what was the origin, or the namesake, or what was it about Saturn, okay, and its name, what did it mean? What was the meaning of it? The first thing was agriculture. Saturn taught us agriculture. And I was like, okay, well, to me, agriculture and growth are no different. And then it also said the god of agriculture, so the god of growth, Earth's connection with Saturn is a connection to the god of growth, goddess of growth, energetic course, energetic source of development, energetic source of growth. Is it time for you to go in the direction of what's missing? Is it time for you to go in a space that is a soul connection and anchor that in to and use it to create the 3D reality? Now, prior to this being down, and some people still may experience this, a lot of times when there is a connection that is made like this, especially prior to the unplugging of the matrix and the reverse of the organic connection between Saturn and Earth, this kind of connection could feel extremely scary to someone. Okay, wow, someone can hear my thoughts and read my mind and knows when I scratch my nose. Now, not everybody has that extreme of a connection, okay, but I did. And that scares the crap out of people. Okay. So, with an attempt on your part or the other person's part, there may have been a disconnection within the 3D realm that did not disconnect. It did not disconnect the energetic realm, even if you cut off the conversation with that person. In fact, it quite goes the opposite. It strengthens all the other ways the body reacts to soul recognition or soul imprint in someone that you've known many times, or someone that shares an oversoul group or soul connection frequency. You cut them off in 3D, it just strengthens in all the other dimensions, right? So maybe you were partially connected in a way that you could hear their thoughts or feel them. And then when they go to make that disconnect, those superpowers, if you will, those things that come to us through the ascension process, only amp up. And so the person that then cut it off in physical reality is going, what is going on? Is someone trying to control me? Is someone trying to manipulate me? Has someone put a spell on me? Is someone, whatever, doing something against my will? No, you cut off a soul connection that was energetic, that wanted to come through to the third dimension for your highest service to self and guardianship of planet Earth. But it's a message from higher self that when you disconnect from that soul energy, when you disconnect from something that is naturally occurring or organic between two souls, it amplifies in the other dimensions. Okay, it's not you trying to control someone or someone trying to control you. It's the organic process. So that person may be scared, you may be scared. We got a runner, we got a chaser, we got a game going on now, right? Part of the Kundalini awakening is this person didn't do anything to me. This person did not put a spell on me. This person is not manipulating me in any way. There is a natural connection, right? So when what is the right word? When we connect in a 3D way, when we are connected in a multidimensional way, which always happens first, and then we have a 3D connection that balances out the energy and pulls in the guardianship of the sacred space of human body separately and together, which guards planet Earth. Now, for those of you who have cut off this energetic connection with that soul to soul person, relationship, template, energy in your life, or been on the other end of that, the matrix unplugged is going to take that person out of their logical, I'm going to control my life and whatever mindset, and puts them back into the organic connection of Saturn and Earth together. Now, this has been happening for many, many divine couples. I would say it's really been happening for many years. The last year has been amped up very much energetically. And why? Because it is in divine timing that there was this preparation, if you will, for the return of the soul to soul connection between you and I. It's the return of the organic connection between Saturn and Earth, the divine feminine. And what came through in Kathy's reading today was that the only thing that is keeping you from your true match, and your true match is whatever you feel your true match is, it's not a 3D explanation. The only thing stopping the soul to soul connection was the mind, and the mind was being controlled through Saturn, through the matrix, through the devil and tarot, right? The only thing standing between you and divinity and a connection, or you choosing organically what is right for you, was that matrix. But it's way more than I thought it was before I woke up this morning. It's not just the electric fence on Earth, it's the fact that, again, Saturn represents or is the energy of knowing and feeling and expressing, but it takes it one step further. Saturn itself being disconnected from the matrix means there's nothing holding me back from the truth of who I am and the matching frequency that ignites the mission, the guarding of planet Earth, and the evolution of human consciousness. Hopefully, and I tried to go slow, which is so against my normal behavior and demeanor. I get excited and I talk super fast, right? But so hopefully for you, this made sense. Hopefully I went about this in a slow enough way where you get the gist of what I'm saying. Everything about our planetary bodies and our planetary energy is asking you to serve yourself and your joy. And when you serve yourself and your joy, no matter what you're doing in an external 3D reality, you become the true protector of you, your energy, your life, and you become the true guardian of Earth, which is the point of all of this. With a burden or with a weight or with a 3D illusion of what I have to do, what I'm told to do, what I've been indoctrinated to stay on, the path that I've chosen for myself that no longer fulfills me. Will I let it go? Will I move forward? Will I fill the gap of that hole that is missing for my self-confidence, for my self-worth? Will I be with the person that makes me shine internally without looking at how that relationship fulfills me in an external, validating, third dimensional way? And when you choose that catalytic energy between two people in the 3D brings our power to a point that I don't know that I'm ready to explain to you at the moment. Unequivocally, this is an energetic breakthrough for planet Earth and planet Saturn alike. Any planet could have been chosen, but the one planet that was chosen to share in the energy or the frequency fence or the control was Saturn. And Saturn is the planet, again, that asks you, what connection is the highest service to my own happiness? There is no mission above happiness. We shift this. We move this. We make a new coordinate, a new pattern, and a new map. If I could count the times that the messages about maps come through. And that's part of the connection and correlation to the maps that I keep seeing and people moving geographically on the grids. And there's been multiple sharings on that information as well. Part of the reason, the biggest reason, there are little parts and pieces to reasons. There are medication, there are food, there are unhealthy lifestyles in general. But the reason or the energy, besides all the other things that I've already talked about, that is working on us right now. The third thing I saw this morning after the gyration and electromagnetic wave coming from the core We have a coronal hole that's asking us to look at what is our hole and what are we missing? Where are we without wholeness in ourselves? That is what the sun is showing us. The core is showing us when you hit that awakening, that realization, that message that travels from the spine to the brain saying, I will choose happy. It starts with the sun. It goes to the core. Now, where the massive confusion comes in, especially connected with a really unhealthy lifestyle, I'm not saying, oh, I had a Coke, so I'm not getting a download. That is so far from the truth, and do not let people talk to you that way, okay? That's not the truth. The sun is showing you something. The sun showing you something is also showing you at a core level what it's showing you, but it's also showing the planet as a physical being, as a mother, in the core, in the womb. What's the signal? What's the message? What's coming out of the core? The flashing light. Energetically or etherically, the line, the axis of planet Earth that's on the tilt. The sun is giving a message. The message is going from the sun to the core of Earth, which is sending out a signal from the core of Earth. It's coming up as this incredible awakening. It comes from the core and up and out. The energy from the core of Earth is shaking the access point, is shaking the axis of planet Earth, okay? Which in turn, because the moon is at a perfect spy satellite in the middle of the planet, the message from the sun showing us something going to the core. The core is showing us something. And the core of planet Earth is actually shaking the axis line of our planet and trying to move it back to true north. That's the third thing that came through. While the core of Earth is shaking the axis line, which holds the planet in its current angle or geographical location, because the moon is in orbit with us, all of these things I've talked about are now shaking the spy satellite of the moon. Okay, so if you feel just a little bit off kilter, there's an hour and 7 minutes that I just gave you of reasons why. It took 48 hours of complete and total silence for this to come through. Now, normally stuff comes through in the line at the grocery store, or when I'm running down the street, or when I'm on a bicycle, or underwater, it doesn't matter. It's always coming through. This was so big, I left my house, went out to the middle of the country where nobody else was, and spent 24 hours here without talking to a single soul or telling anyone that I'd even left. That's how big I knew what was coming through was going to be. There was some sort of calling card that showed up, right? Saturn, Earth, the sun, the moon. If you feel a little bit on shaky ground, you can think about the fact that Earth is a spy satellite. That the moon is a spy satellite revolving around Earth, which is being shaken to the core, which is asking you to choose your joy. Okay. We have a solar system that is shaking awake every energetic speck of our existence in the awakening from the spine to the brain, so that we will do more than experience things in the higher dimensions. Now, a big thing about people being scared on the other side of that, one side or the other of that connection, and trying to disengage or disconnect from it in a physical way, and then experiencing the fact that it amps up in an energetic way. There will be no denying it now. There is absolutely no denying it. The nervousness that you may have felt, that someone could see you at the core of your existence, that someone was connected to you at the core of your existence, and how much you loved that, and how much joy that gave you, and how awesome that felt to connect with that, despite the scary simultaneous, scariness of what it's like to have someone really see into you for who you really are. Okay? The barriers are down. If you're feeling the need to express yourself or communicate with other people, it's because those barriers are down. How soon you choose to let people in or speak your truth or whatever will depend on, the same thing it always depends on. How clear is your channel? How important is your happiness? How important is your illumination and your joy, and the good stuff that you want? Can you finally allow your happiness in every speck of your existence to choose what feels like your happiness and your joy without using your logic? Or will the earth need to continue to shake to the point that it changes our access point? Because at some point, the earth will shake so hard that we will lose the inorganic access. And a vision that came to me in 2018, never looked any of this stuff up. The North Star and the South Star, meaning over the North Pole and the South Pole, I believe is the blue star, and the blue star and the red star. What is it? Polaris, and I don't know. They will, this is what I saw. I never looked these things up. They will switch places. The North Star and the South Star, the polar stars of this planet, will switch places. Simultaneously, a portal will open up. And this portal will suck the moon in and back to the place that it came from. And we will go back to the planet being temperate and mild and without any manipulation whatsoever. Saw that in 2018. I don't know how far we are from that and how far away we are from that, but I haven't thought about that since 2018. Okay, so that's almost 6 years ago. And when I thought about it, when it came back to me today, was when I saw that the access of planet Earth was trying to remove the inorganic tilt from the SPY satellite, go back to its true north position, which is shaking the moon. And that is when I had a flashback to the vision from 2018, where the red star and the blue star changed places, a portal opened up, and the moon went bye-bye. Thank you for being here. It's an honor and a privilege to work with you, to speak to you. Couple really quick announcements I want to make. On Facebook, every time I use a decimal or a number or a dollar sign, my post gets squashed. I am running a tarot special at the moment. That is, you can talk as much as you want or ask as many questions as you want for 44 minutes, and that reading is 4444. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing I want to say is part of the reason that led to this revelation, that led to so far 48 hours out in the country, not speaking to anyone, came about because of the amount of people not making appointments or doing readings, but absolutely inundating me with their personal problems and mostly relationship trauma. I will no longer respond to those people who do that to me and do not make an appointment. I volunteer and give a lot of my time, and I've been doing that for almost a decade through Facebook now. My readings are very, very, very inexpensive compared to the rest of reality here for readings or intuitive work and all of those things. I'm not going to let people take advantage of me anymore. And last week was crazy. And you guys have to realize that on the other end of this, on the other end of my spectrum, is a human body having a human experience and having relationship issues and karmic resolution just like everybody else. And it's not fair for people to message me and never say hi and never say how are you and absolutely dump and overwhelm me with 20 paragraphs of information about how bad your life is. Please think about what you're doing to me. Please. Please. If you're having that much of a difficulty and you would like assistance, I would be happy to help you with that. The amount of people doing that to me without asking, without scheduling an appointment, and without treating me like I'm a professional person working to help people with things is astounding and energetically overloading. I'm not accepting that anymore. Thank you for being here. Thank you for working with me. Thank you for allowing me to express energetically what I feel, see, and hear is happening without judging me. I would have never come this far. I would have never been able to continue to make these readings, to make these things that I write, to post articles, to make videos about this stuff without your continued love and support. Thank you for being here. And until next time, I love you. Bye.